time aboard. This is the Miles to Go podcast. And now here's your host, Ed Pizza.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Miles to Go podcast. We are mere minutes away from Mr. Kerr packing up the RV and heading out of town to do his best impression of Noah's Ark. But we got to talk a little bit about the state of travel before we do that. And Richard, I just want to say, heartfelt, I do hope you don't get washed away this weekend. I do hope that your RV does not float.
Well, we're not going to go today because it's just going to be storms tonight. So we're going to try and go tomorrow, but we'll see how it works. But it's supposed to be a lot of rain. Dude, even if it is, man, I don't care. I'll sit underneath the awning and listen to the rain and fall asleep. I don't know, doing something. It'll be great either way.
All of that is great. I agree. When the roof doesn't.
Yeah, well, we're batting like 600 on that. You know, only 40% of the time we have water coming inside.
You have 600 leaks. Yeah, you have 600
Yeah.
leaks. That's about right.
Mrs. Kerr has gracefully tapped out and will not be joining the kids and I.
Gosh, she's so smart.
Yeah, so we'll see how it goes. But I mean, yeah, and then we're supposed to run the 10K Sunday night, so we'll again see if that happens or not. But either way, I'll be hurting horribly Sunday night. So
what's weather supposed to be for the day?
like pouring down rain and 50 degrees, perfect running weather, just perfect.
Oh, Oh
if I have pneumonia on the show
7
next week,
miles.
everybody knows.
You're gonna be soaking wet after
Oh, it's not 7, it's 6.2. Let's not. I'm not going any far. I'm not going a step over 6.2.
You are a crazy man. All right, let's talk about what we're going to cover today. If you haven't heard, there were a bunch of changes to the Hyatt program, so we're going to talk through the elite status changes, the milestone reward changes. Oddly enough, almost entirely good news. I mean, maybe entirely good news, which is a rarity in this business. We've got a listener question to go through, and I'll also talk about the 2 Hyatt hotels that I got to see on this day because I think they're both interesting for different reasons. We're also sponsored this week again by Thrifty Traveler Premium, and we will talk a little bit more about that as we get into the show, as well as a pretty cool giveaway that we're going to announce this week.
Shout out Thrifty Traveler, 65,000 American miles business class from ATL to Madrid in February. It's on hold.
You're stealing my thunder,
Am I?
man.
Oh, sorry. Well,
they're stealing my list. That's okay. I love you, man.
Shout out
dearly,
to the
so okay.
sponsor.
Well, if you're just tuning in, you can find him at Kerr Points on all those social media platforms. I am at Pizza in Motion, all those same places. Ed at pizzainmotion.com. If you do have questions, you can also text us or leave us a voicemail, 571-293-6659. Our listener question today is a text question. Perfect timing from Nate in Pittsburgh. He said he recently got the Richard Kerr Built MasterCard. I didn't realize that was the name, but I like it.
Did he?
I like it.
Tell me where to sign up for that. I'm curious.
Yeah, I want that. Is it like a limited edition version? It must be very shiny.
Yeah, it's something every New Yorker would be offended at. So let's get as many of them out there as possible.
I like it. He's 100K points short of his target. Aren't we all? I'm always short of how many points I want. He's talking about potentially having his player 2 get another card, but he dives into a point that I think is worth a quick clarification. And he was talking about how to handle if he did have a quote unquote player 2, somebody else who's earning points, how he would get those points into his American Airlines account. And it comes back to this challenge that in most cases the airlines make it very difficult to pool miles. And he's asking, in the case of American Airlines, is there any easy way for him to transfer or pool those miles between 2 players?
So Nate in Pittsburgh asked a question we hear a lot of times. There are some specific loyalty programs that allow family pooling. American is not one of those. So if your player 2 gets another card or credit card or transfers in from somewhere, they're going to have to transfer or have their own American Advantage account number on that. I'm not aware of a way that you can pool American miles, Ed. The only thing I know you can do that's kind of a saving grace here is I think Nate said he didn't want to have 2 different PNRs and split it up. But with American, you can put these awards on hold so you can be sure before anybody transfers any miles that you've got the award space, right. Even if it is on 2 PNRs on the same flight, then great. Like, who cares? Like, I understand maybe a few nuances there, but I think that's one saving grace since you can't pool American miles. But do you know any way to pool American miles, Ed? I do not.
I don't either. You can. American will cross-reference the PNRs.
Many times, yeah.
So that's certainly helpful in terms of a regular operation. So I would definitely do that. So Nate, thanks for being a fan of the show. And, last little bit before we get into the Hyatt stuff, if you'd like to support the show, you can do so by joining our Slack community. Now, you'll find some notes for that in the show notes to join for a monthly or an annual subscription. And announcing on the show, we talked about this on Happy Hour last night. We missed you, Richard. I know it was after your bedtime, but we missed you. Talked about on the Happy Hour last night that for members of the Slack community, we're going to be giving away a 1-year United Club membership. So if you are,
wait a minute.
if you are,
Did I have to be in attendance in order to win this? There's something we should talk about after this, by the way. But go ahead. That's amazing. I want to win.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm going to pull your number out of a hat, right? But yeah, if you're on the fence about signing up for the Slack community, now is a great time to do it because you're going to have a chance to win a year's worth of access to United clubs worldwide for the low, low price of a monthly membership in the Slack community. One person, one lucky winner will win that in December, and they'll have it for the entire calendar year of 2024. And it will not be, Richard.
Yeah, although we got to figure out how it can be, because I told you and Hal the other day I was looking at the United Infinity card that gives club access, because I have Star Alliance Gold through Aeroplan, but United has put a memo out apparently to their lounge agents that says if somebody's going to use Star Alliance Gold to get into the United Club, that's got to be the number on their boarding pass in their PNR, which means I wouldn't get 1K benefits flying United, and that's obviously not going to work for me. Now there are some nuances that you and I have discussed of, change the number at the boarding gate, but then you run the risk of not being able to board and get your bag in the overhead bin, or like all that kind of, dude, it just sounds miserable. So I'm on the hunt for United Club access for 2024. And right now it looks like my best option is the United Infinity card to make that happen. Because I think it has like a 90,000 mile sign up bonus right now.
Which that's actually
which
bad.
make this thing a little.
Their sign up bonuses are usually
that's why I think it caught my eye the other day.
United Club Infinite card, 90,000 points right now. What's the spend on this? This is $5,000 in spend.
Yeah, so we can make that happen.
I mean, that's
and if that gets rid of and I've been playing this game now since I think May, where every time I go to the United Club, you gotta get over the hurdle where the agent, she's like, scan your boarding pass. I'm like, I'm Star Alliance Gold. And she's like, it's fine, scan your boarding pass. And, it's not gonna work every time. Then they got to go in and manually punch in the Aeroplan number, then get confused why it's not on your board. I've done that every single plane trip since May. Probably worth the hassle of paying this annual fee just so I don't have to do that again. So I think I am below 524 now, but got into a little bit of a scuff back at Newark on my last trip a couple weeks ago, where she's like, you can't come in. And I was like, oh, I'm Star Alliance Gold. She's like, nope, it's got to be on your boarding pass now. I was like, okay, can you put it on my boarding pass? And then can you put my 1K number back? And she was like, no. And I was like, okay, I'll go buy. I think I bought half of a turkey wrap, a bag of chips, and a Sprite, and it was like $23. And I was like, well, can't do this many more times. Let's figure out this United Club.
Yeah, I mean, I used to be able to do it at the ticket counters too, but I mean, you got two different data points there. You gotta, if your upgrade's already cleared, then it's easier to do. If your upgrade hasn't cleared, then yeah, you're kind of screwed.
So good luck to everybody in the Slack community. You're getting a score there, because you can bring in a +1 when you have a full membership, right? It's not just
you can bring in a +1. You can bring in me. You can bring me with you.
No, you're going to be bringing me in, because I'm not going to have a United Club membership. So,
all right, let's talk Hyatt, man, and we'll talk about the program changes first. We'll get your opinion, and then we'll talk a little bit about the two Hyatt hotels that I got to see, one that I've stayed at before and one that I haven't. So first on the changes, I'll talk high level about the changes, and you can offer up your opinions. So these are divided up into categories for the most part. So guest of honor bookings are one of the biggest changes. As it stands today, if you want to make a guest of honor booking as a globalist, it's a very valuable benefit. You need to book an award out of your account for somebody else using a guest of honor booking. It's unlimited the number of bookings that you can do, but the points have to come from your account. Starting in 2024, there are a couple different changes. First off, the points don't have to come from your account. They can come from the person that you're guesting. And these are also going to be eligible on paid stays. However, they're going to limit the number you can get, and we won't go into all of the different permutations of it. There is a chart that I'll put in the show notes. But suffice to say that globalists are going to start out with 5 of these guest of honor bookings in January, and then they'll be able to, if they requalify for globalists, they'll earn another 3. There's also a backup plan where you can use the old benefit just for 2024. But suffice to say that if you continue to earn globalist, you're going to have somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 of these a year after this initial 5. And that's likely going to take care of most folks. So let's stop there for a second, and I want your opinions on the changes to the guest of honor benefit.
Yeah, we talked about this on the show a few weeks ago about how this has been abused for so long that it was going to change or grow away. Really glad to see this change. I think it's fair. I think everybody starting out with 5 next year ahead of the change is fair. I think 3 is a little light that you can only earn. It looks like 1 at 40 nights, 1 at, oh wait, no, you can do more. So it's every 1 at 70, 80, 90. So if you get up to 100 nights, you'll have 4. No, you'll have 6 because you get 2 at 6 as well. Okay.
Correct.
So you get enough. Look, I think the ability to do them on paid stays is amazing. And the other thing here is that me as the guest of honor giver is going to earn an elite night when I do this, which is huge because then you're not like, that's another way to get even faster back to status. Thanks to everybody who is selling guest of honor bookings and all the creators that were having them as benefits of joining their community. You brought on these changes for the rest of the community, and we appreciate you doing that work for us to make these even more valuable. So if there's anything else you guys want to try and abuse, please go ahead and make it better for the rest of us.
Yeah, you're 100% right that this was being abused. We were definitely afraid it was going to go away. I was certainly pleased to hear that it's not going
That's
away.
awesome, man. On paid stays, what the biggest use for this actually is going to be when I have to do stays for Emily. So when I do stays for my wife right now, you kind of make them under your own account and you contact the hotel and say, hey, can you please let her check
Right.
in? 1 out of every 10,
Right.
you run into a front desk person that's like, no, this is under his account. Where's he? Now I can just do a legit paid whatever guest of honor stay whenever she needs to go stay with her friend somewhere, and it's all legit, and I still get the elite night for it. So win-win-win here.
Yeah, and I think we'll talk a little bit more about this as we wrap up, but I think Hyatt did some things where they were trying to be very thoughtful, and this, giving you a night credit when you give something away. I mean, look, don't get me wrong, it's good for everyone, including them, because if somebody else is getting globalist benefits, in theory, that's going to entice them to want to spend more money with Hyatt because maybe they want to achieve that status. So Hyatt's got upside too, but they're giving you something for giving something away to encourage these to get used. So I think all of that's good. The second piece is more technological in nature. And I think, you and I would both agree that up until now, Hyatt has not been a leader when it comes to the quality of their IT. I can't specifically say that I think they're the worst of the major chains, but they're clearly not the leader. And so what ends up happening now in 2024 is essentially everything becomes giftable. And we're going to talk a little bit more about some other changes to what you can earn. But Guest of Honor is giftable, Suite Upgrade Awards are giftable, Club Access Awards are giftable, Free Nights are giftable. And in the UI that they showed us while we were at Hyatt headquarters this week, all of this is done online. And the app interface is especially slick because you see a list of what all your, there's a tab for awards. You see a list of all your awards. You tap on Suite Upgrade Award, and then it says 2 buttons pop up down below, 1 to redeem and 1 to transfer. And when you click transfer, it's a verified connection, so you're putting in the person's Hyatt number and their name, and it's pinging the database. Yep, that name matches that number. Transfer done, all good. So from that standpoint now, you don't need to use an agent for any of those things. It's all, not only is it giftable, but the technology looks like it will exist to make it really easy to gift all of this stuff.
Nice. I have not redeemed a Suite Upgrade Award online yet, but I assume that's in there as well for next year, so that you don't have to call for that anymore. Yep. Yeah, perfect. Good stuff.
Yeah, everything will be redeemable or giftable from online, both online and in the app. And like I said, I thought the app flow looked better than the online version, but they're both, perfectly solid.
One change I do hope they've made there, again, this is just super nuanced, is that you can select which free night you're pulling. Because I know some people accidentally pull their category 1 to 7, and then it's like a category 4 story. So that is updated as well.
It is. The only thing they did not do was they did not introduce a preference. It will not always pick the one that's most readily expire, but it will list all of them with the expiration dates, and you can pick them. It's no problem.
Perfect. Yeah, that was always and I had that happen a few times where a concierge pulled the wrong free night, and I'm like, no, it's not waste. It's not waiting to set cat 1 to 7 on a cat 2, please, thank you.
So the other thing that they've solved for, and this is specifically for globalists, one of the annoying parts of earning globalist is that at lower night tiers, so 20 and 30 nights, you'd earn club access awards. And the problem with that was if you were a globalist already, you got club access. So you had these useless club access awards sitting in your account. Hyatt has acknowledged that that's, obviously not ideal. And so now you've got 2 different paths. First off, just like everything else, the club access awards are giftable. So if you want to give someone club access, you can do that. But if you don't, you've got a couple of different choices. First off is you can take a find credit. These are dollar value credits for excursions, experiences, stuff that Hyatt does at various properties. Or you can take what's a new award. It's called the 2K Next Stay Award. And this is a 2,000 point bonus on your next stay at the limited service properties. Hyatt House, Hyatt Place, Caption, and Your Cove. I wouldn't necessarily call that a oh my gosh, incredible benefit. But since you were getting nothing from the Club Access Awards, getting 2,000 points, you're getting $25 for, experience or excursion, is clearly an improvement.
Yeah. I mean, I'll take it. I'm not going to pick Club Access Awards. Probably going to pick fine credit, so it looks like 2K Next Day Award for 20 and 30 night milestones is what it's going to be.
Probably. I mean, and these, by the way, have long expiration dates on them. I think these are 6-month expirations. Pretty much everything else is a full year plus 2 months, 14 months. But I think the 2K Next Day, they're 180 days. So you have a long time to use it. They're encouraging as much as possible very, very low amounts of breakage by extending the expiration dates on all this stuff disgustingly long periods of time, in my opinion, year plus 2 months past your qualification. So if you get guest of honor awards in April of next year, they'll expire in 2026.
All right.
That's great. Like they're not going to go away anytime
Makes
soon.
sense.
Yeah. Now let's talk about above 60 nights. So a tier, the chart used to stop at 100 nights. That was the highest you could earn. That was where the counter stopped. So first off, you're going to get an extra guest of honor award at every 10-night increment over 60 nights. So 70, 80, and 90 nights. And then if you don't want suite upgrade awards, it used to be that you could only get suite upgrade awards or bonus points. They've now added a fine credit there, so you can get $300 in fine credits at every 10 nights, which I think is a really solid benefit.
Yeah, $900 we're talking, and I'm just scrolling through the fine experiences here, kind of around, and like, there's some cool things you could do with $900 on some of these exists. So if I knew, which I probably will next year, be at 90 or 100 nights, I mean, something I'll probably take a look at.
Yeah, we actually did a pretty cool fine experience, which we'll talk about in a couple minutes. New tiers at 100 nights, you'll now get a category 1 to 7 award. And then you have the similar choices, but they introduce another new benefit, and it's called the Miraval Extra Night Benefit. So Miraval is their, lack of a better term, their wellness brand. And there's 3 properties. There's the Berkshires in Massachusetts, there's one in Austin, and there's one in Arizona. I think it's Tucson, but I wouldn't swear by that. It might be Scottsdale. Anyway, very high-end properties, typically pretty expensive, even on points. So the Miraval Extra Night Award is an award you'll be able to choose at 100, and then every increment above 100 up to 150. With these awards, for every confirmed night you book at Miraval, you get 1 free night per certificate. So what that means is if you pay cash or you pay with points for a night at Miraval, the certificate can be redeemed for the second night. If you wanted to stay 4 nights, you'd need 2 certificates, and then you'd pay for night 1 and night 3, and the certificates would be used for nights 2 and nights 4. So if you knew you wanted to do a week at Miraval, you could save up if you were going to really crush the number of Hyatt nights and bundle these together. The multiples can be used on the same reservation.
Dude, that's huge, right? Miraval is how many points per night for 2 people now? 60,000 points per night?
60 like something? That? Yeah, more than 60.
So, I mean, I have a legitimate shot probably next year of getting a couple of these at least. So the ability to stay like 4 nights for the price of 2 at Miraval for 2 people would be, that's a $1,000 benefit per certificate, right? And you're still getting the free night certificates on top of that. So I think that's awesome. And it would definitely be the way that I would go.
And then lastly, the 150 night tier becomes the new top tier. And there's another new award introduced. At that 150 night level, you will receive, on top of your other choices, you'll receive what they're calling the Ultimate Free Night Award. Ultimate Free Night is any property category 1 to 8. This will not include Mr. and Mrs. Smith for now, to be clear. Any property category 1 to 8, any all-inclusive on the all-inclusive chart, and it includes Miraval. So you essentially get a free night anywhere you want in any of those 3 big buckets.
Again, couple $1,000 benefit, but if you're staying 150 nights at Hyatt's, you're you're a little bit crazy,
because that's a lot of nights.
I think this year would have been my most intense, and if I had not broken off to try Marriott and a few other stays, I think I would have been close to 150. Would this have pushed me to do credit card spend to get additional nights to get there? I don't know, maybe. But that's kind of what I like about these changes overall is, I'll be honest, once I got to 60 nights with Hyatt, like I did this year, I was like, it's just another 10,000 points per every 10 nights right now. I'm like, there's not enough shooting for. I would have probably forgone the Marriott stuff I did this year and would have been shooting for these additional benefits. So I think that's mission accomplished for Hyatt, right? So
yeah. If you didn't forego Marriott and shoot for these awards, had they been in place, I likely would have flown down to Atlanta, driven to Newton, Georgia, and just smacked you silly.
It's still on the table. You still do that anytime you want.
Yeah, well, you're going camping this weekend, so it's not going to happen.
Nothing happens this weekend, yeah.
The other thing that they add to the mix here, which will definitely be helpful for some folks, I wouldn't say it's going to be helpful for most folks, but in terms of trying to earn more qualifying nights, on top of credit card spend, their meeting-based program is going to take some tweaks where you'll earn nights based on how much money you spend on meetings. And then the Hyatt Leverage program, where you can book rooms for others, you'll be able to earn nights based on booking for others. So there's 2 folks there. First off, our buddy Howie, who's a travel agent, he's going to be able to rack up some nights with this. And then if you do have a small business like me, I don't book a ton of nights for my employees, but I book some. And so I'll probably pick up some nights from that. Not a huge difference, but a little nice to have in terms of putting all these buckets together to try to get to 150.
Yeah. I would probably missing this, but I think if I had to guess, I think built employees in 2024 are going to be booking underneath the Hyatt leverage program.
That's a lot of
Yeah.
leverage. Yeah, you could see that
Yeah.
coming. So last thing was lifetime globalist updates. Not a ton here. I'll say, I've been a lifetime globalist for I think 6 years now, and it's by far my most valuable travel status that I hold right now. And so I was a little bit nervous because lifetime globalist is pretty generous. Right now, I get all the benefits of globalist every year, including the suite upgrade awards and the free night and all that stuff. And so I sort of asked this question meekly in the room, like, here's what I get now, and are you guys changing any of that? And the answer was, no, not changing any of that. Lifetime Globalists still get all of this. And every year they will get 5 Guest of Honor awards every year on top of everything else. So that means that Uncle Richard will be calling me throughout the year to make Guest of Honor.
No, I'm
bookings
gonna
for his wife.
I gotta have my own guest of honor do that.
No, you're gonna if you're smart, what you're gonna do is you're gonna choose other things when you can, and you're gonna be like, I'm gonna tap Ed for some Guest of Honor.
No, because everybody's gonna be tapping you for that. Everybody's gonna be tapping Ed. There we go.
Check, please.
So I mean, dude, lifetime globalist. So it's 1 million base points, which is $1 million before taxes spent.
No, 200,000 in property spent because you get
5 base points is right. Yeah, 200,000.
Only 200,000. Richard.
Yeah. I mean, but I am like, after working, I don't know how many Hyatt nights I have in the last 4 years of commuting to New York, I am still like, I think I just crossed 300,000 lifetime points. Like, how long did that take you? And where was all that spend? Was that from the Vegas jaunts in years of past, or like, how long did it take you? How much? Like, I've actually never asked you this. How long it took you to get lifetime globalist?
So I started zoning on Hyatt right around the time that we got into the dry cleaning business. And the two were not, well, I guess they were kind of related. And so that would have been 2009, 2010-ish. So it took me like 7 or 8 years. And there were 2 things that helped me accelerate. In the very beginning, there was a small glitch where credit card spend, when Hyatt first came out with their credit card, counted as base spend. It wasn't multiplied by 5, but if you put $10,000 on the credit card, you got 10,000 of your million points. They fixed that pretty quickly, but I did get a little bit of a head start there, to be 100% honest. But the MGM partnership was very rewarding because all the meals that you charged to your room counted as spend. And so when we would entertain clients for CES on a yearly basis, MGM has so many casinos in Vegas, it wasn't hard to get a dinner reservation at one of those places and charge those dinners back to my room. And all that spending added up to lifetime status. It was a very intentional thing for me in those years to say that, like, that's what I'm focused on. And I did the same thing with American Airlines to a much worse result in terms of lifetime status. But with Hyatt, it's really paid off.
Yeah, it's something I definitely would love, just from a non-stress perspective. Like, hey, this year's not going to be a big travel, or this travel year's not going to be dedicated to Hyatt. They don't got to worry about it. These benefits are here. I mean, I will likely, with these new benefits and a renewed interest in lifetime globalists, now's my time to get out a big chunk of that stuff. Because I've been, not as long as you, but I've been Hyatt Diamond or Globalist, I think, since 2011. But all of those years when I was purely on the points hacking side, I think I had maybe 5 paid stays a year, right? The rest of them were all credit card nights or award nights, but I still maintain Globalist. So in my lifetime, I made absolutely 0 progress to lifetime status from Hyatt there.
But you're going to make a lot of progress in 2024.
And I don't know, maybe, hopefully not. That just means I'm gone more. So we'll see.
Well, yeah, but we're not going to mess around with this. Let me get my Marriott status again. At this point, I think there are enough milestone rewards here that I think you'll stick with whatever you get from Marriott just naturally. But if a stay can go to Hyatt, if it makes sense to stay at Hyatt, you're not going to think twice. I think that's...
No, I would completely agree. So, I mean, from Hyatt's perspective, again, mission accomplished. You got me completely focused on Hyatt for 2024.
Yeah. All right. So a couple of things. First off, I want to recap a couple of comments that Mark and Amy had while we were in Chicago. And then I want to talk a little bit about the 2 properties that we got to tour. So Mark Vondrasek is Chief Commercial Officer at Hyatt, and Amy Weinberg, she has a very long title, Senior VP of Brand, Loyalty, and Data or something like that. But she essentially runs the loyalty program. And then Beth was there from strategy standpoint, a bunch of people in the room. But Mark and Amy had some comments that I think really emphasize something. I'm going to write a story about this for Pizza in Motion, but I think everybody was expecting negative changes. And even me, my PR contact, when she called me about this, I'm like, when I hear words like reimagined and exciting and stuff like that, I get skeptical. And she's like, Ed, you're going to like this. I'm like, well, I'm going to be a little skeptical for a bit. She's like, Ed, you're going to like this. And she walked over to me at one point after we'd been in the room for a few minutes. It's kind of funny. All these nerds show up and we're all having fun and talking. It's Gary and Greg and John and all the bloggers. And then we realize there are folders in front of us on the table that have all the details. And we all get really quiet as we start leafing through the pages. And my PR contact comes over and she's like, I told you weren't going to be upset. I'm like, yep, you're right. So just some numbers directionally. Like Mark was very clear. He was very declarative about this. He said things like, members love the program, but they can't always find the program to engage with. And this goes back to Hyatt footprint versus others. He said that the reality is they have to play the game differently. And they know that. In the past 5 years, they have quadrupled the number of members in the program. They have doubled the number of luxury rooms. They've tripled the number of resort rooms, and they've quadrupled the number of lifestyle rooms. 70% of the portfolio is upscale luxury properties. And they expect to add hundreds of Mr. Smith's properties in early part of next year. So like this is obviously a very heavy upscale luxury brand. And they feel like as long as they cater to these customers with outsized benefits, they can continue to grow and take share. And I'm not going to say that they're never going to make things less valuable, but the equation he spelled out and the equation that Amy spelled out when we were there was we don't have to, right now, we don't have to take things away from members to continue growing profitability. We're still growing. And I don't think I expected to hear that sort of stuff walking into the room.
Because that's not what we've heard from anybody else for a long time. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Growing benefits in order. I mean, the only way that people have made things more profitable is by cutting their costs, which is at the expense of loyalty program members. So,
Right.
I'm certainly happy. I dropped my partners at Hyatt a note that said, I am selfishly very excited about this. Thank you very much for doing that.
Yeah. The things that Amy mentioned about meaningful points of difference that they really focused on wanting to be able to let members choose between, and like the things that she named, like the coffee experience at Andaz Papagayo that we know, like our buddies Summer did down there. Free nights at Miraval was very important to them to be able to say, like, the most expensive aspirational property in the company, we want you to be able to redeem for free nights there. And that they really see the concierges as something that is a tool that they want to keep around. They want them to be listening posts, and that they view that channel as a critical part of what they need to keep growing on. So, definitely work to do there, but listening to them talk about it, I'm not going to say again that they're never going to make the program worse, but they put a lot of thought into these points, and it really feels like they can be sustainable. This is a benefit to being a smaller footprint for a Marriott and Hilton. They haven't gotten to the point where they need to find a way to take one olive out of every drink, a la American Airlines. Hyatt can still grow themselves, where Marriott really can't grow. They couldn't quadruple their member base over the next 5 years. It's just not possible.
I also find, just putting my business lenses on, looking at these new benefits, it's very strategic to me how they had to do this so that they're not asking hotel owners to really pay anything additional here, and they're not doing anything additional outside of existing reimbursement avenues that are already there. So I found that fascinating when I first looked at the chart. Like, okay, what are the mechanics behind this that make it work with hotel ownership and operators?
Yeah.
I think it's very clever, very strategic how they did this, because the hotel owners were like, all right, cool, whatever. Like, this doesn't, you're not asking me for anything else here. You're not going to, there's no additional benefit I have to fulfill here on the property level. Like, it's just the same reimbursement for free nights or points, or like stuff that doesn't have anything to do with the individual property. So very strategic and well thought out stuff. And I thought that was very interesting from the business side. So A+ Hyatt.
Yeah. Very clear sitting with them that they put a lot of work into coming up with this structure. I think that was like what I walked away from, was that they really put a lot of thought into the different pieces. And the things that they didn't do are like some of the stuff that I've heard complaints about from some folks who either were there or have read through the changes. First off, I think are just sour grapes. And I know I'm a Hyatt guy and I know I'm biased, but the reality is, like, people are complaining that at 100 nights you don't get a Category 8 free award. Okay, sure, yes, that would be better than a Category 1 to 7 award. I'm not disagreeing with that, but does Marriott or Hilton, double check this, Richard, for me, does Marriott or Hilton have any certificate that's valued for any property in their system?
Depends on if you ask them or if you ask their users. You're asking.
Right. Even if you top up a Marriott certificate, you still can't afford the most expensive properties on the award chart. Heck, if you top up the most valuable certificate now, you get one night at the Dolphin and Swan.
Yeah.
$84,000 this month. So I'm not saying it wouldn't have been better to have more. Like, of course it would have been. But nobody else has a certificate that's valid for every property in their system. And you know what? Hyatt has one now. And yes, you need to work your ass off to get it. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, I don't either. You got to be really nitpicky to not like this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's really what it comes down to. Like, I think you could nitpick about like how many guest of honor bookings you get, stuff like that. I think they've done a lot to try and make it, generous. I tend to think that if there are issues with guest of honor, like people not having enough, by adding 5 at the beginning of next year, they kick this can down the road for 18 months, and they can decide in 2020, late 2024, 2025 that they want to add a second one to the 40-night reward or the 50-night reward, or something like that. That's going to be pretty easy for them to do. So,
all right, man, what else we got?
Real quick breakdowns on the 2 properties. First off, Park Hyatt Chicago. I did pay my own way for both airline hotel. Park Hyatt Chicago went through a refurb. I haven't been back since the refurb. It's category 6, so off-peak starts at 21,000 points a night. Great property. I think they did a really good job on the room refreshes, on top of really nice soft accompaniments like you'd expect in a Park Hyatt. They maintain all the window. Have you stayed at the property, by the way?
Never been to Park Hyatt Chicago. Nope.
So big windows that overlook Lake Michigan, and the way they've always done it is the windows had sort of like a ledge. Well, they've now leaned into the window ledge, and there's a cushion on the window ledge with pillows and all that stuff. So you've got soft seating in the room. But I mean, like when I was writing my recaps of this stuff before we flew out, I chilled in the window ledge. There's a plug in the window ledge, so I plugged my laptop in. I worked inside the window ledge for a couple hours, just looking out at people walking around Chicago. They're very specific about the breakfast benefit. It's not even dollar amount. It's any entree you want, any hot drink, any cold drink, yada yada yada. And so it's very clear, very specific, really great treatment of globalists. And I think they did a really good job on the refurb. So definitely a property I would lean into. And then we toured the Chicago Athletic Association, which is a Hyatt property. And man, boy, did I have a ton of fun with this. You have got to come see this property with me. We're thinking about potentially doing a Slack meetup at this property.
I stayed there for the first time earlier this year. Super cool place.
Oh, you did stay?
I was there for one night earlier this year.
Yeah. So you saw the game room and all that off the lobby. The elevators have parquet walls that were like the old fencing courts and basketball courts and all this stuff. This property has some really, really cool bugs.
Yeah, people had always talked about it. I was super excited to finally get to stay there this year. I got upgraded to a nice suite. I thought it was an awesome property, and just the location alone would definitely be a go-back place for me.
Yeah, no. And now that you're saying, I remember you talking about there's a bar on the roof called Cindy's that overlooks Grant Park. There's fire pits on the balcony outside of Cindy's that you can just chill and hang out at. There's a lot of little nooks in the property. We did a find experience there in what they call the milk room. So right past the lobby before you get to the game room was the milk room. And we did a whiskey tasting there to nobody's surprise, including yours. I did not drink whiskey.
I was about to say, and Ed,
right
if you did that, they had to carry him back to the room.
Right, exactly. I was mocktailing in the corner so that nobody had to carry me back to the hotel. But it was a really cool, like the milk room was super awesome. Small private bar, whiskey tasting, specialty cocktails and mocktails, all this ornate like wood and brick on the walls and stuff like that. It was pretty cool. And the hotel GM, big shout out to him. He toured us through the whole building. Guy knows the history of this building inside and out. Some of the stories he told us about how they shored the building up from a historic landmark standpoint and the things that they did to it. Like it was pretty cool. So I would clearly put that property on the list. That property is a category 5. It used to be a category 4, which made it an even better deal. But category 5 now starts at 17,000 points a night.
It can be really expensive cash. So I think it's a great use of points if you can catch it off peak or just normal. Because I remember paying a lot for it back, whatever I went this year. Golly, that was already back in March or something like that. I don't know, man. Wild how fast this year's
so long ago. I didn't remember it. Yeah. All right, last thing, we're having a Toys for Tots drive this week. In fact, by the time this episode drops, we'll have already had it. But I did want to say a quick thank you to folks from the Slack community. I hope I don't leave anybody out, but Corey, Stephanie, Rex all sent me some money to buy toys to bring down for the Toys for Tots drive. So I think, when I think back, it's been almost a year since we started the Slack community. Wasn't sure what to expect out of that community when we started.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was when my daughter was doing her leukemia and lymphoma drives. That was like January, February last year. So the fact that folks unsolicited wanted to send me money to buy toys for the Toys for Tots drive, that's pretty cool, man. Like I think I really enjoy where the community has gone. It's not too big. That I think people know each other and very respectful and help each other answer questions, stuff like that. But to go the extra step and have random folks sending me money to make sure that more kids have toys for our Toys for Tots drive. Yeah, that's my feel-good moment of the week, man.
Are you doing that with Trevor?
Trevor and Gene, yep.
You know who started the Toys for Tots drive with Trevor?
Oh, there's a dopey-ass picture of you still on the internet.
Is there?
Of you. Oh, yeah. Oh, God, you look dopey as heck in that picture.
Man, Trevor and I started that when I was living in Quantico. I guess that was either 2016 or 17 when we did that.
The year that you met me as the points jock.
That's
was
right.
At Toys for Tots.
Yeah, we did that. And every time I see him post about it on Twitter, I get a little smile on my face thinking about the first year that we did that. And the first few years after I left Quantico, he invited me to come back up for it. And I just, unfortunately, could never make it work my schedule. And Trevor, you stopped in and invited me, man. But don't worry, every time you post about that, man, I get a big smile on my face and super happy that it's something awesome that you guys continue to do every year.
Yeah, no, I know you were involved early on, and I'm glad that, to be fair, like Trevor and Gene are the ones that champion this every year. I'm just along for the ride and do a little social media prep and stuff like that. And it's been really cool to have people reach out and support. And I love that Trevor and Gene still keep that memory alive. So we'll tip one back in honor of the points jock.
The points
Monday.
jock. I think it's still on Flyer Talk somewhere. I don't know. And I still have, I got the logo. Anyways, man, yeah. Funny stuff. Oh.
I Googled, well, it's funny because I was really scrambling to get a post up about it a couple weeks ago for the blog. And so I just Googled real quick to see if I could find where maybe Trevor had written about it. And I couldn't find a current post from him, but I found an old one. And that was where I found that picture of you with man, you definitely needed a different hairstyle then.
I was in the Navy, so whatever they maybe wear, I don't know. At least I had hair. I haven't go. I have to see what's going on out there in the point shock rollback of the interwebs. Find that stuff.
I will find the picture for you. I will.
God, what was the name of that? Oh, when I first joined my first board, it was a boarding area.
The Savorosity.
No, not Savorosity. They used to
not Savorosity.
They used to have these sessions, and their last session was the year before I joined, and I joined, and then the whole network fell apart. Like the year after I joined, it was no longer a competitor to boarding area. I don't remember what it was called, but I thought, man, I was so excited. I started that WordPress thing and just threw it out there in the world. Anyways, yeah, we could reminisce about that forever, but I can't remember what it was called. I don't know. I'll have to go find out.
But really, I thought you were talking about Savorosity.
Remember, I did email Randy Peterson in 2014 asking for a spot.
He sent me the email,
and then he responded about 6 months ago, and he was like, "Yeah, man, let's work on this." And
come on. That was like 18 months ago. Come on now.
It's like, oh, you're Randy. Good to hear from you 7 years later, man. How's it going? Thanks for fine.
But yeah, I texted you the picture. I'll make sure to put it out via social media at some point between now and then. But yeah, it looks like you're wearing a prison outfit. Really does.
Man, I remember that sweater. I remember this stuff.
God, you're such a nerd.
Oh yeah, I got a green. That was my candy cane striped Christmas sweater.
And while we're sitting here, literally recording, Molly from the Slack community just sent $50 for toys for kids. So we're the donations are still coming in. I really appreciate everybody who wants to support this. I think it's been a ton of fun.
Oh man, look at that.
You'll be remembered, Mr. Kerr, while you're there. Like I said, I myself will toss back a Coca-Cola in your honor while I'm there.
That's exactly what I would be drinking if I was there too. Nice cool Coca-Cola.
All right, so what do you got planned, man? Are you still? Is it just Disney still for the rest of the year for airplane travel? I understand there's camping in the rain. I get it, but are there any other airplanes other than? By the way, did you book the Disney hotel? Because that was a really disgusting.
I booked Pop Century 6 weeks ago. Luckily, for very reasonable.
Oh, when you showed me that $450 rate, I'm like, oh, did he really wait to the last minute to book again?
No, I booked me again. Look at that, everybody! Listen, I planned more than 2 days in advance. I booked the hotel 6 weeks ago. When there was a really solid annual pass holder discount on Pop Century. So we get on that Skyliner and roll over to Epcot for Candlelight Processional. Now, I was just very curious to see what hotels were doing now. And yeah, the All-Star Music, that's the most value resort at Disney, was going for $450 a night before taxes and fees. So very glad I booked that hotel and hoping I don't actually hit the cancel button or something.
Yeah, right. Did you remember what you paid for Pop?
Do $180 a night, something like that.
Nice. I'm in for $135 or $140 for All-Star for Charlie and I.
Nice. Dude, I am on full defensive mode right now, trying to stay back a last New York City trip. We talked last week. I don't think I'm going to be able to do it, but so far nothing on the calendar. But it's getting very hard to keep it away one more time. So maybe one more New York trip for just a couple nights again. But other than that, just Disney, man, and chilling out.
I'm getting my tuxedo clean for the Built Christmas party, man.
Yeah, I won't be there, so have fun.
All right, well. Let's see. We'll have to figure out recording times. I think I'm at Disney the next time we're supposed to record. So we got more to come on that. We talked a bit at the beginning of the show about Thrifty Traveler Premium. I really like that AA offer that came out. That was my best offer of the week. And that's why, by the way, I not to talk about Built at the same time. That's why I love building up my Built balance, because I know when push comes to shove, I'm going to need to book some American stuff as these awards come out. 65,000 miles each way. This one looked like it was pretty decently available for February, March timeframe. It was a whole slew of departure cities, tons and tons and tons and tons of cities. I don't know that there were tons of seats available because I didn't check. I don't know if you checked, but I was checking for 2 people and 4 people. But I was pretty regularly able to find a couple of seats on a lot of these flights, and it was like half a dozen places in Europe that were available for this. I was actually surprised that it was this widespread. We don't usually find stuff like this.
No, I only searched from Atlanta, but I searched multiple European destinations, and there were very convenient one-stops through Philly, New York, and Chicago to get in business class. And most days I searched had at least 2 seats. I never saw only one. At least it didn't have the little blue text underneath that says only 1 seat available. Like they'd always had 2 seats available. So yeah, it was really super wide open. It was a great score. So I got that on hold, and we'll see if it actually gets ticketed or not.
I know. I thought about booking, and it was specifically for folks like this was specifically American Airlines. I don't think this will still be around by the time the episode drops, but it was specifically American Airlines flights, not necessarily British. Other good deals that I saw this week were what I would consider reasonable summer travel. So like they found Vancouver, British Columbia flights for under $400 in the summertime, which is usually a pretty expensive place to get to as well. And then there were London flights for like, 500 and change. So another week where there were a bunch of really solid deals. Oh, did you see, by the way, the West Coast to Paris stuff too? I thought that was interesting. There was business class LA to Paris for 40, I think it was 40,000 each way.
30,000 from Raleigh on the new flight in business. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that. 30,000. Wow. Wow.
Okay, great stuff. I thought.
Yeah.
Well worth the position to Raleigh, especially if you're here in the Southeast like me.
Yeah, and I think like what this goes back to when we think about, and I think we're going to have somebody from Thrifty on next week with us, but I think what this goes back to is it's not necessarily easy to find great value for your points, but if you're willing to do a little work or you're willing to pay for a service like Thrifty Traveler Premium, you don't have to spend 150,000 points one way to get the Europe in business class, if you will. It takes a little work, a little hunting around, but I think the alerts make it super easy. And I don't know about you, but I don't have any restrictions on the number of airports I receive. I just take everything for alerts from Thrifty Traveler. That way, if I see something that I can position to, I've got that option.
All day, every day, man.
All right. Well, I should probably book Park Pass reservations for Disney. I haven't done that yet. Did you book your Park Pass reservations?
Of course I did. I am well prepared. I got everything sorted out, including candlelight processional dining package, and got the Moonlight Magic spot. Everybody, I was really sweating that a couple days ago when that virtual queue came out, as Ed always likes to remind me. The only thing you have to worry about is Disney IT.
That's right. You did score Moonlight Magic.
Got the Moonlight Magic. So that's they shut Animal Kingdom down December 13th unless you're a direct DVC owner. Very limited spots, tons of people, and the family and I did get a spot to go check out our first Moonlight Magic. I'm taking my dad as well, so I was really excited. And there's no park ticket required; like it's already included, like no additional cost, I guess I should say, on top of owning DVC. So like, I only had to buy my dad, 1 day park ticket because we're going to do Epcot and we're going to chill for a day, and then he gets to do Animal Kingdom. You start to get in at 6 p.m. and it goes all the way till 1 a.m. I think. So it's like a full Animal Kingdom day.
Your kids are going to be hurting.
No, they're not. They're going to have a great time. Mrs. Kerr is going to be hurting. She's going to tap out about 8 o'clock. She'll be there for a couple hours, and be like, all right, I'll see y'all tomorrow. I'm out. Go back by myself and be there.
She can get her free. She can get her free popcorn.
I'm excited. I'm going to take Thomas on Avatar for the first time. I think Mary's going to be tall enough to ride Everest, hopefully, so she can check that out with me because she likes roller coasters. So it's be a lot of fun, man. Nice. Or I'll see my dad. I don't think I've ever seen my dad ride Everest, so that'll be funny too to see that.
No, it's gonna be awesome. And I'm I just renewed my annual pass. I know you did as well. I renewed Charlie's annual pass. So we're in for at least another year of Disney craziness.
Yep, the kids are in for until next November at least. So it's fun, man.
You keep doing stuff like this. I'm not gonna be able to call you frugal anymore. You make me sad. All right, we won't wait too long. We got day jobs to worry about, man. Go do some work.
Yeah, it's time to do that, man. Have a good weekend.
All right, until we upload again, we've got miles to go.
Everybody's gonna be tapping Ed. There we go.
Check.